With all the different options that we have for Bruticus in the Masterpiece line and all of the, well, now the 5th version of a third-party Bruticus is about to be released, more or less. Let's just get into talking about which of these Bruticus option is best for you. Coming up. So this is not going to be a 100% inclusive list of all of the different ones that they made, but I'm going to kind of hit the different scales. And the reason why is because they've made quite a few of these, and some people don't really know about all of them. Starting with G1, and the G1 figure was actually an interesting looking figure, and well, he's supposed to have his little, I guess I don't have his bat guns on this picture, but of course he was made into a G2. And then the G2 one has this kind of strange, crazy color camouflage, which I guess is synonymous with G2 and the kind of stuff that they were doing back then. But yeah, if you're a G1 collector, probably want the G2 one also. This is kind of important because they're probably going to be recolors down the road of some of the Masterpiece ones. So one of the first third parties was FansProject's Bruticus. Now, it is a good looking figure, and I actually got to see this in person, handle it in person. It's actually a little smaller than FansProject's Minosaur from the head, and I compare my combiners from head to head, and I don't care about if his gun sticks up, you know, an extra 3 inches. Where his head stops is where the height of the figure stops, and if his shoulders go up another 3 inches, it doesn't matter. I compare the head. So this guy is roughly the size of Combiner Wars. Actually, I measured my Minosaur around 11 inches. So FansProject's one right here. So if you collect Chug, this would fit in with your Combiner Wars very well. It would look good with your Combiner Wars collection. Now, Combiner Wars, I always thought that was a pretty good version. The one that they made for Combiner Wars. Now, this guy next to their Minosaur was terrible. And this shows Perfect Effects upgrade kits on both of these figures. And yeah, they look a lot better with upgrade kits, and the Minosaur is actually almost presentable with the upgrade kits. And of course, you know that Hasbro had to go off and make a G2 version of their Bruticus, and so there is the G2 Bruticus and similar color scheme as the vintage style G2 version, and so they just made it a bit bigger, and they made it, well, more articulated. There's a lot better version in my opinion, and I really have a kind of a soft spot for the Combiner Wars. I like the Combiner Wars, and I kind of felt like it ushered in like a new generation or a new life on some G1 designs. But I'm going to let you decide which one you think looks better between the Bruticus from the Combiner Wars or the third party. I'm kind of partial to the third party myself. I'll let you guys make that decision for yourselves. So next, Warbotron. Now, my understanding is the company's name's Warbotron, but everyone calls this figure Warbotron, and then there's Warbotron Computron, and so that's still very confusing. Is my understanding, Warbotron's associated with Bruticus. So whenever I hear Warbotron, I think Bruticus. But then again, when I hear Warbotron, I go, are you talking about Computron or Bruticus? So it gets confusing. I didn't mean to confuse you anymore with all that, but that's what's going on in my head right now. I think it's a good looking figure, and I never actually had the original, and I felt like it was way too expensive for the size it is. I think it's around the 14-inch size, maybe 15-inch size. But I did get a chance to check out the Jinbao KO oversized version, which is actually almost 18 inches. Now, this is interesting because it's a pretty good size figure, and it was a decent design, and it looked okay, and it worked for me until I got my Zeta. But it wasn't the most stable figure, and my understanding was, as good as it looked and as well as they represented this character, the original, the official Warbotron actually was better, was a little bit more stable than this guy. So this is one case where maybe the KO oversize isn't better than the original, but I own this figure and I actually enjoyed it. So the KO oversize is the one I had, and I know that it looked almost perfect next to Devastator. from Hasbro, the Titan Returns, or the Unite Warriors, whichever one you want to go with. And height-wise, it looked almost perfect, spot on. They looked like they were from the same class size of figure. And so now you can see also with this that Toy World's Devastator, and this was missing some parts, the filler pieces and the G1 parts, but the Devastator itself is much bigger, and you could tell the difference in size class. So it's actually really good to look at this and say, okay, which size class are you going with? And guess what? There's no wrong size class. It's whatever you're collecting, what's in your collection, what you like, what you want. That's why you pick. You don't pick by someone else's opinion and what they like and what they want and what they're collecting, because your collection's yours. So we got unique toys, and I think it looks good. I kind of wrote this one off because my understanding is it's around 17 inches. So it's a little shorter than even the KO oversized version of Warbotron. But it looks phenomenal. And I had an opportunity to see this in my friend Matt's collection in person. And the thing is that from the angle I saw it, because it was in the front and the bigger ones were in the back, and from the angle I looked at it, and it was on a top shelf, it didn't look drastically smaller than the 20-inch ones, even though it's 3 inches smaller. This is something you could, if you wanted to, figure out a perspective way to make this display. Also, I'm displaying my 18-inch tall Predaking in the very back of my display, propped up about 4 inches to look even taller than the rest of them. Those optical illusions, if that's something you want to do, then those figures are an option for you if you're comparing to Zeta. With this guy here, you would just have to line it up with other combiners about that size, or use some sort of optical illusion. Or just throw scale out the window and not worry about it. So we got Zeta's Bruticus, and it's the recolor repaint of Bruticon. And now that we've seen the third Superion, I guess we'll get a metallic Bruticus coming. I don't know. I don't know. Don't quote me on that. But I do think Zeta's looks good. And he's big and he's beefy. And a lot of people that complain about his stability probably aren't rotating the hips in and out just right. He's got some nice hip action there. But aside from the fact that I'm kind of disappointed in the repaint, they didn't offer us another torso and that, I still like the figure, and I'm happy with my first original set. I mean, I haven't dropped the $330 to get the Bruticon and swap them out, and I just don't care that much. And so I think it looks good. Now we kind of get into what's going on with MMC. Now, we have seen this in multiple different updates along the way, but now we've recently got more promotional pictures out, and they're putting this pose at an angle to make him look a little bit more cylindrical. When you look at him head on, his shoulders are much wider, and it just kind of gives you for a bit of a different perspective than what they're going for here. Now, I want to first point out, I don't think it looks bad, like horrible, but I think it needs bigger feet. Now, you look at the bigger feet, well, you can buy an upgrade kit for like 50 or 60 bucks that gives it bigger feet and a few other components of, I think, a bigger chest piece and all of that. And that's great, and it's okay. I'll get an upgrade kit if I was getting this set because I think it needs that. But it also adds an additional inch, maybe an inch and a half of height. So this was around 17 inch also, so you would get the 18 inch size, but you still won't be comparing to Zeta or Toy World. So it's going to be smaller than Zeta and Toy World, even with the upgrade feet. Now, if that's something you're okay with, you can live with, and you can kind of say, well, okay, well, I don't have Zeta's Bruticus, it's not a factor to me, and I don't really care if Superion and my Devastator are bigger, then maybe you can get away with it, I guess. But I really think this is going to fit better with Combiner Wars Devastator, so around the 18-inch size, and I think that would look best, it would fit best. So if you're collecting that, if your Devastator is Combiner Wars or Unite Warriors, then that's actually a great option to go with and to work with. Now it's about the same size as the Unique Toys one, so you could probably have, you'll say, okay, which one do you like the look of better? The Unique Toys version or the MMC version if you're going with that scale. Next up, let's just compare the three Masterpiece ones side by side. So, in my mind, the biggest question was scale, probably. But second to that, which one do you think looks best? Now, I own Zeta, and I like things about Zetas. I do like the way the thighs look clean. I do like that he has the size and the presence on the shelf. I don't like that his arms are so big and thick. Like, the forearms are just way too big. They should have engineered that down. I wish they could have done that somehow. So that's my main problem, is the thickness of the arms, and that maybe the legs are just a little bit too beefy and wide. And of course, the individual bot modes suck. That's that. But I never plan to break them down for any reason. So it's not a deal breaker to me in that respect. MMCs, I can't speak to anything about it because I don't have any hands on. I've got the Frodo coming in. I will be reviewing that. I'll be telling you what I think of it. But I'm going to let you know my opinion. I like Unique Toys the best, aesthetically. Now, aside from his thighs, I just don't like that additional line work that's on the thighs. Looks like a bit much. But I do like it. I went seeing it in person and firsthand, and now I have Zetas, and I'm seeing the pictures of MMCs, which MMC is a great feat, all in. You know, everything's included, and everything's built into it. I'm a fan of the Unique Toys aesthetic the most. I kind of wish it was bigger. If it was bigger, I'd have been in on it by now. But I just want the bigger bots. Zeta is ruined me on size. So I'm sticking with my Zeta for now. I'm going to get the Frodo and I'm going to check it out. But I want to hear what you're doing, because this is getting a bit confusing and frustrating with so many options out there. And so many of these that are about to be completed. You get one of any of these sets. Let me know in the comments below. Like and subscribe, and Tigerium Hanger out.